guys, it is Tristan with Nerdet's Newsstand, and I want to talk just briefly about some things that happened on Friday in court between JD and AH. Now, this to me doesn't seem like a whole big page turner or any one kind of shifting tides as to where this is going. It honestly seems to me kind of like a red herring fallacy, right? Look over here, look over here. This is the main issue, but please don't look at that issue. Look over here. Now, a lot of what goes on in court is that kind of issue, but this specifically seems very, This is very vindicative of what something she would do. So basically, this is from Courtroom News. Now, there is a brief that I looked at, but I'm not going to go through all of that. This enough is confusing, let alone that. So we're going to go through it just a little bit. Now, it talks about, obviously, the whole reason for this, but court documents have now come in that prove that there was a perfect storm, right, involving JD, ranging from something like substance abuse, right? We've heard that over and over again, to not showing up on time, which is pretty much a normal thing in Hollywood, to another very normal thing in Hollywood, and that is forgetting his lines. Just take a look. Just humor me. Google actors that don't actually use their lines. There's plenty out there. I know there is a lot of stories going around about Bill Murray when it comes to Ghostbusters. He never looked at the script. He never looked at those lines because he simply looked at it in improv because it's Bill Murray. He's a funny guy. He's able to do stuff like that. Sometimes when those talents are ripe, like he did with Jack Sparrow, it works out really well. Another one was Marlon Brando, one of the biggest, most famous movies, Godfather, you will ever see. Same thing. He did the same thing with Jarrell. There's actually a picture floating around from years ago, if you look up the 1978 Superman with Marlon Brando, where he had to write his lines on the baby's diaper. And I find it adorable that, you did that to a baby, of course, because I love the babies. But I find it funny that, someone is able to do that, because I'm half the time not even able to talk straight to you, let alone read from something and then go on further. A lot of times you'll be able to tell if I scripted my videos, because I just kind of talk really robotically. Yeah, it doesn't work out for me very well. I've tried it plenty of times. So says, his troubled past was the center of the hearing, and AH's attorney is charging that JD's legal team withheld deposition records. Now that's very important, because we're going to get to a point where that actually was untrue during this entire time, right? So the records they were specifically talking about was JD's former agent, Tracy Jacobs, who gave a deposition in a previously unrelated lawsuit. So if you take a look at the brief, we're not going to do that. Not going to do that. It says, Mr. Depp, history of extensive and worsening drug and alcohol abuse, leading to increased anger, hostility, and violent behavior. The inability for him to remember his lines. Again, going back to that thing where when you get to be a certain class in Hollywood, it's pretty typical. It really, really is. And tardiness or absence from filming. Now, absences I can't speak of, but like I said, it's when people are relatively, I guess the best way to put it is egotistical, then that tardiness doesn't bother them because they think it's okay, right? So, the deposition also shows that the Disney executive expressed concern over JD's behavior, including his action towards AH and towards Miss Jacobs, Tracy Jacobs. Now, Tracy Jacobs, if you remember correctly, long time ago, we haven't talked about that name in a while, but she specifically called JD her golden goose. That was how she was going to break into the industry, and she was going to be this and that, right? So, totally no reason there to be against him. So, going on to say, JD was quite capable of violence and even had displayed an increasing volatility towards Miss Jacobs. Now, as far as the previous deposition, it was sent to Eileen Charleston Badenhop, which is AH's attorney. It was actually sent to her, and she was unaware of it and didn't, and then brought it up and said, I'm not in my email during a deposition. Okay, I focus. She was being a little passive aggressive there, but I get it. So Ben Chu came back to say, we don't hide the ball. Okay, well, obviously they gave them those records, and then to bring it up and act like they didn't is really, really silly. So it goes on to say, Jacob was first deposed in another unrelated case. Yeah, we talked about that. And then now the newer to this case judge, Penny Ascart, denied Badenhoff's motion to compel, as Chu had produced the deposition. So she wanted a motion to compel for more of this deposition, and she said no. Chu told the court that he was also in the process of sending different depositions video in this case. So the judge then declined sanction to Chu or to Badenhoff. So again, not a whole lot coming out about this. This is all like, it's just going to go over and say the same things. It's going to tell you all about it, right? So we're not going to take a huge look at that, but it's just, nothing is moving forward, and I don't think a whole lot is going to be moving forward until it gets closer to trial. So these videos, even though I do want you to subscribe for future videos like this, hint, hint, are going to be fewer and far between unless there's a bombshell or something like this. I don't particularly care to cover the ins and outs of people's personal life, though I do a little bit closer when it comes to the comic book industry. But even so, or the tabloidy side of things, maybe I should, but it's just not something I personally like to do. But there should be some more information coming out soon when it comes to some past stuff we talked about with the Twitter names and the ability to kind of dox people. It went from 200 to 2, if you remember correctly. So all of that should be coming out. So again, make sure you subscribe. Thank you guys for watching the video and being subscribed. Hit like. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.